everybody. Welcome. Yes. Tonight we are diving into Zack Snyder's cut, and I hope most of you have seen it. And tonight joining me is Joking Atheist. Hello, Joking Atheist. Ha ha ha. Are you there? Hola.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello? Good evening.
Good evening. I see you've changed your Joker.
I wanted to go a little bit darker for the Snyder cut.
And it is very dark. So
Yeah.
for my subscribers who don't know, like me a week ago, just a little bit more than a week ago. So what the Snyder cut is basically the movie The Justice League, but not Joss Whedon. What's it? Joss Whedon, right? Not his version. Yes. The Zack Snyder's cut, and he did a lot of the filming for the movie, and you'll elaborate on that. And so it's more deeper, it's more darker. There's a lot more visual truths in it. You see blood, you see the darkness, you see so it's very cool. So Amy was first. Thank you, Amy. And we'll get into it now. And overachiever. Who's Amy's an overachiever? Yes. So excellent. And I had to dress up because Joking Atheist is wearing makeup as well. So
I'm always wearing makeup.
Always. Alrighty, so let's get into it. So that's for people. It's not a new movie. It's just a full length uncut of the original that was made until, like, you're going to explain to us what happened with Zack Snyder and why he left for personal reasons. But yeah, let's. So
yeah,
what? Okay, take it away.
So let's first start off with the difference between Zack Snyder and Joss Whedon. So Joss Whedon, he is the MCU director. He did all the Marvel stuff. All right. So his specific style and way he does things is he's very commercial. He likes to keep his movies to like a short and sweet but a comedic sort of feel to it. That's why you'll find like his Thors and stuff have got a lot of comedy and so forth in it. It's directed towards perhaps maybe even the younger sort of demographic of viewers and fans. So, and Zack Snyder, he's got a bit of a darker take on stuff. He tends to have a lot of twists and turns in his storytelling method, and even his visuals has that darker feel. So he's more like the Batman Arkham Asylum and Batman Arkham Knight and so forth. He goes to that darker look, geared again more towards the adults.
He also did Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which most times I found was a bit but he did Angel, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I actually watched the entire season. I made TG download the entire one. The end of it was a bit like crazy, but as a teenager, I loved it. It was cool.
Did you make TG watch the whole thing, Angel as well?
No, that was just for me.
All right. Just checking. So from what is understood, Zack Snyder started filming the Justice League, and he essentially put together the full video as such. But when it went into the processing part, where he's starting to cut it and paste it and put it all together, he had a sort of a family crisis or an emergency, which he had to essentially dump the project. And that's when they brought in Joss Whedon. And Joss Whedon took Zack Snyder's version and obviously turned it into another MCU. So the general fans were pretty unhappy with the Justice League that we were first given, purely because it didn't feel like a Zack Snyder movie. We were anticipating and hoping for another, Batman, Dark Knight, and so forth. Man of Steel. We were looking for that kind of movie, and we ended up with some comedic, short-lived, sort of not canonic,
vague backstory play, sort of tumult. Tumult is a word for mix-up. Like you in the theatrical version, which was Joss Whedon, you didn't really get to see Cyborg, how he came about, what he's. I mean, this 4-hour version. Okay, now I'm a huge DC fan, right? Huge, and apparently you're a bit of a
but
Marvel
MCU is by far better, eh?
Okay, we'll take this on. Okay. So and I felt like I was a kid with like the biggest bag of candy because it just carried on, and then you saw more. Like I'm the kind of person that will stay in the cinema and get all the, like, what are they called? Cookies, Easter eggs. Like I wait for the Easter eggs, like always in all these movies, like to wait to sneak peek to see what's happening, what's coming. And with this 4-hour cut, it's like I got all my answers. Like anything you could think of, I wish they'd shown that, or gee, I wish they'd interpreted that for me. They did it. So it was like me having the biggest chocolate fest of like my DC life ever. Okay, watching this, it was just like, I couldn't get enough.
It was a total 4-hour buffet of DC.
Yeah. Yes, it was awesome.
Absolutely, I have to agree with you on that. I will be honest with you though. One of the things that I sort of must say is that the 4-hour version is essentially intended for, in my mind, it's intended for like a sort of different viewer, in the sense of it was done on a streaming service and it's intended for the person who's going to sit at home and view. I myself cannot picture myself watching the 4-hour Zack Snyder version in a theater. I could not see myself doing that. 4 hours is far too long for a theater.
I did need a toilet break at some points, I do recall.
Yeah. Well, not only the toilet break. Oh my goodness, I could just imagine being crammed up like sardines, trying to watch that in a big cinema. I don't think it would have really worked as well as it would have in terms of, because we got a stream. I think because it was a stream, it was a lot more effective.
I must just say, so I did a review on 1984 Wonder Woman, and I think I over boosted it in a way because I was so excited to go to the movies. We hadn't been to let alone IMAX, for an entire year, and we felt almost daredeviling because no one was going to the movies, and I thought, yes, we're going to go to the movies,
Yeah.
I was a little bit disappointed. I think probably they'd done a lot of editing and a lot of stuff was left on the editing floor with 1984. But it got a terrible rating at the end of it. People first thought, wow, and then in hindsight, after watching it a second time, like myself, I thought, okay, it sort of disappears. I don't know. But with this movie, with this Zack Snyder's cut, it's fantastic. Like I enjoyed all the backstories of all the characters, properly done.
Yeah, well, like you said, if you compare the original Justice League to the Zack Snyder Justice League, you clearly on the we'll just call it the later Zack Snyder League. Justice League, his version clearly gives you a lot more information, in particular, like with Cyborg, where he comes from, and it actually develops the character a lot more, that you actually appreciate the character far more in the Zack Snyder version. In the Joss Whedon version, you don't really get that sort of origin feel to it, and additionally to that, you also I just didn't feel for the character in any way. I developed no sort of like connection with the character. When you walked out the cinema, he was like, just another character, sort of side character. Whereas I felt with the Zack Snyder cut, he played a far larger role, and you actually see the importance of his character in particular.
Yes, and all his capabilities, and he's sort of the heart of the movie in a way.
And you actually get to understand that he's actually a lot more powerful than what you would have thought from the Joss Whedon version.
Some nuclear on arsenal. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I like that sort of character development. Even between, I don't know if you remember with the first Justice League with the Josh Whedon, the dynamics of the relationship between Aquaman and Cyborg. Aquaman and Cyborg have a sort of like a rivalry in the Josh Whedon version. Whereas in the Zack Snyder's version, you actually see that Aquaman has a lot more respect for Cyborg. He sort of associates better with Cyborg. There's a lot more development with the characters in that sense. So, and that I do appreciate a lot more in terms of the Zack Snyder cut. That's most probably why it's 4 hours long, because there's actually so many characters to get through and to develop.
Yeah, and it shows you more. It shows you also dark sides. It shows you more of Darkseid. So it doesn't only show you Steppenwolf, who is considered one villain, but he's the guy trying to gain favor to the ultimate, to Superman's
to Darkseid,
yes, to Superman's arch nemesis. Yeah, I said that well. Woo, arch nemesis. You don't say that. Say that 5 times and then
yeah. You can't say that when you've had 10 glasses of wine.
Exactly. And so you see the story, and I love that you and I had a strange thought when I was getting ready. Imagine, okay, so in Zack Snyder's they showed like Darkseid, they probably showed what, like 10 minutes of his world, give or take, right?
Yeah, because it's just a quick snapshot.
Yeah. Now imagine all those extras. I always think in movies, like everyone's like, ooh, I'm an extra. Do you have any idea how long it takes days for setup, and you become this, this minion in costume where you literally can't go to the toilet for hours and wait round just for them to film the ultimate shot, and then eventually your scene is not even in the final version. So I take my hat off to the side guys. What's it? The extras. Yeah. Okay. How's it come?
There was definitely a lot of CG effects as well in there, which some people really dislike too much CG effects. I don't mind CG effects, especially if there's a lot of it, but a lot of it must be real. It's got to have that sort of real feel to it. To give you an idea, I remember. Do you remember Scorpion King when Scorpion King came out?
Yeah.
With what's his name? Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yes, The Rock played it.
When he came out and he was this half scorpion, half human barbarian sort of thing, the CG was so bad it actually destroyed the entire movie for me. But I do enjoy some really good CG work, especially like if I'm talking of Man of Steel, where you could see they've spent a lot of hours. There's been many man hours put into fine details, and then I can enjoy the CG. So give me a CG feast, but just try and keep it as real as possible. I don't mind that.
Sometimes the CG is too much. Like that's why I could never enjoy a 4K TV, because it looks bizarre. Like I don't know if anyone's got a 4K TV in the comments or watching, but it looks too. It looks like I'm almost in the world of Days of Our Lives. Like it doesn't look real. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like I was like, what?
Yeah, for me, I must be honest with the Zack Snyder cut. I was sort of let down a little bit because obviously the version I got to watch was in 4:3 aspect ratio, so the ratio was completely off for me. But at least the resolution was still good. Sound was also pretty good as well.
Okay. So what resolution would you recommend to our viewers what they should watch it in?
Well, I would wait until it comes out at least in 16:9 aspect ratio, so that you get at least that full widescreen sort of feel. And then obviously you want to go for as high a resolution as you possibly can, so 4K if you can. So I think it would be absolutely wonderful to watch it like that.
Okay. Yeah, I think watching animations and stuff in maybe a 4K would be amazing, especially like 3D or what's it like I don't know, my first 3D movie. I mean, obviously you can't watch 3D on a 4K TV, but I think just that those graphics, that detail, those colors, also like brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, where were we? Oh yes, Count Totenkopf says Lobo. They need to do a Lobo. So I remember reading the comics, not all of them. I did go through a very comic phase, and yeah, he's a great character, I think.
Yes, absolutely.
And also there was Sandman. I was so disappointed with the Catwoman that they chose for what was Halle Berry. That was a freaking disaster of note.
Yeah.
That was, and I hate to see how companies are changing the narrative with trying to make them more PC. It doesn't work for me. I don't know. I don't agree with it. I think it takes away from the original. Anne Hathaway as Catwoman, I was very surprised. I would have preferred, even Gal Gadot, I was blown away by her.
In terms of Catwoman, I think I'd have to say my favorite has to be Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh, of course.
That would have to be my favorite.
Definitely.
In terms of Catwoman, yes.
Definitely. Okay, we straying a bit. All right, fine. So the Zack Snyder thing, it's a lot more, so it gives you more of, if I can say, of the Justice League. And it's a lot more. It sounds very, very, very proper English. A lot more darker. So you'll see blood. You'll see real things that happen to vehicles, like you were explaining to me earlier or the other day. It's not just so whoosh, whoosh, like theatrical. Has my onomatopoeia. Is it onomatopoeia?
Yeah, I don't enjoy it when they sort of. Well, I shouldn't say I don't enjoy it. I still do enjoy some of the Marvel stuff, but it's intended for a different audience. And if I want to sit and enjoy it as an adult, and I want to sit down and enjoy a DC universe, Zack Snyder is the director who pulls it off effectively for me. And the thing that we maybe we should go actually a little bit back and talk about how he ended up doing it again. How did they release? Do you know how they brought it out again?
I think you said people they voted, like there was a whole uproar, and people wanted his version, and So Warner Brothers obviously released the Joss Whedon version, and it actually sort of tanked at the box office. It didn't do very well, and that was mainly because it didn't feel canonical. It felt more like a Marvel sort of movie, and because of that, the fans basically started pushing back, and they were like, "No, we don't like this," and so forth. And I'm not quite entirely sure how, but somebody found out somewhere that the Zack Snyder still had the original footage of what he had filmed, and he hadn't used it as such. So he was storing it somewhere at his house or whatever the case might be. So then people started, I think it was on Reddit or something like that, where the guys started pushing for release the Zack Snyder cut. And then that grew, and it basically went into YouTube, and obviously influencers started pushing for it. Then there were articles pushing for it. And then there was basically even you had what's his name? I forget the guy who acts as Aquaman. His name? Damn it. Jason Momoa, is it?
Oh, you even had Jason Momoa saying, going on like a live feed saying, just release the Zack Snyder cut already and things like that. So there was a lot of pushback on that to try and get it released. And Warner Brothers were like humming and hawing about whether they were going to, whether they wanted to change it or even if they were not going to. And they basically, the thrust of the fans was so immense that they essentially got to the point where they had no choice but to approach Zack and say, "Listen, let's finish this movie and let's do it the right way." So, and that's how we ended up with this.
Thank God.
Well,
it just puts everything in perspective.
And here's the best part is that it is doing so much better. In terms of the fans, the fans are happy. Zack Snyder's happy. Even the actors are supporting this version of the Justice League, and I literally think that the Joss Whedon version is going to essentially sort of disappear into the annals of history, and nobody's going to even remember that version.
Just to let you know, I looked it up now. So. Justice League Joss Whedon at box office opening weekend brought in 657 million. It actually says 9 million. I'm going to sound like Jacob Zuma if I try and but the budget.
Listen carefully now.
Listen carefully. But the budget for it was 300 million, so it doubled in its profits. So it did make money. I mean, I remember going to it, and it was full. I mean, every December, that's our thing. We go and we watch whatever it is, whether it's a Marvel or a Star Wars or a DC. We do that. It's our treat for the year, kind of thing. And I look forward to something like that. So
tell me, what was your ultimate experience with the 4-hour version? When you saw the rolling credits at the end, what was your emotions? What were you thinking and feeling?
I mean, in the epilogue, okay, when they talk about Father Twice Over, and it talks about living in the now, and everything's going to change, things change, and that's what I've been saying for the past week. You can't get bogged down in stuff. The earth moves, the seasons change, your life will change, things are constantly moving, and we need to, instead of being bogged down in negativity, we have to accept this and and realize that change is good. I know for some it's frightening, but I just got the sense it just felt, to get back to, I loved it. I absolutely, just when I thought, wow, okay, that's enough, then there came more. For me, yes. I can sit and do an entire day of DC from beginning, or Marvel from beginning to end. Like, I'll have, what's it called, a marathon, just watching one after the other. Like, I love it. I love that world. I love the fantasy. Yeah.
I must say, I was actually lucky because I had the time. So what I did was I watched first the Joss Whedon version, which is a good 2 hours. And then straight after that, I did the 4 hours Zack Snyder cut. So sure. I had the benefit of watching the comparative too. But I will also say, look, it's not all thrills and spills for me. At the end of the day, there was some things that I felt a little bit let down in. Like, for an example, there were like silly scenes which I really think they could have done with that. Where Aquaman goes and gets back into the water, and then you see the villagers, they start singing this weird, strange little song, and the girl goes and picks up his shirt and sniffs it, and it's like, okay, this is really just useless stuff. We don't really need to see any of this. So for me, those were the little scenes that I really think they could have done with that. So they could have whittled it down a little bit more. But the big thing for me that I feel like maybe it's just me, I'm not quite 100% sure, but I felt like the soundtrack to the Zack Snyder cut was completely off. It wasn't fitting like the Joss Whedon version. The Joss Whedon version, I felt like it was done to a movie sort of standard, whereas the Zack Snyder cut felt like it was improvised. It was slapped together to just make it work. There was, like, I don't know, 2 weird songs that they played in the movie itself, which I just really didn't think fitted the sort of the screen footage that you were busy watching at the time. It just didn't feel correct.
Okay, so that was the Aquaman, in which where was the other one? I can't think.
Yeah, there was also where, okay, so the one I'm thinking of is where you see Lois busy walking through the city and she's carrying a cup of coffee. There's a soundtrack that's busy playing with that. It's a song.
Yes.
I don't know what the song's called or anything like that, but the song just doesn't fit. The footage is slow, but the song seems to be slightly faster than the footage. If you watch it, it's just not synchronized correctly. It
Okay, I
didn't
don't.
feel like it was fitting that scene. There was that, and then there was, I think it's later on, there's another song that they play. It's the one where they play for Aquaman, where you see him getting drunk and he's standing on the pier.
I
Again,
know.
it's a different song, and the song just doesn't quite fit the scene as well. So,
Okay.
yeah, for me, the soundtrack was slightly off, and I really think they could have improved on that.
I think there was. I heard there are two different scores for that. I'm trying to see music composed by Junkie XL. Okay, and he has apparently done some of the DC movies, but they did use, I think, for the Justice League, they used the guy they normally use with their music.
Yeah,
I
like
thought,
like they have the usual soundtrack that they put in, especially in the Justice League stuff, the Joss Whedon one. There's that it's a very specific sound that they play throughout the movie, or like a song that they play. That seemed to have been minimized in this version. It's almost as if they turned around and said to Zach, "You know what? You can redo this movie, but you're not going to use the soundtrack." You know, and he had to come up with something else. That's the feel that I got from it.
Okay, fair enough. Another interesting thing, and we'll get into it also in the epilogue, but I don't want to give too many things away, obviously.
No, if other people haven't watched it by now, then shit on them.
And Martha, let's say Martha visits Lois, okay? And at the end of that visit, okay, that character turns around and says, "Lois, you're also very important."
Yes.
And maybe are we gonna let the cat out the bag? But I mean, I remember you telling me your theory.
Okay, I think what we do is we give the viewer the option now. We can, maybe you can do like a hand wave to say that you're going to talk some spoilers, and then you'll do a hand wave again when we finish talking spoilers.
All right, people. So if you haven't seen it, we may talk spoilers now. So if you want to jump off and not watch, because you're keen to watch it, now's the time.
Yeah. So Ruth is going to wave her hand, and you can just turn the sound down, and then when you see her hand come up again, turn the sound back up again.
Yes, so I've waved my hand. Okay, fine. So I've already waved my hand. Must I wave it again? No, we'll just
wave it again. Wave it again, just in case.
Okay. Spoiler alert.
Spoilers.
So,
Martian Hunter. So he portrays the part of Martha approaching Lois, because he's the shape shifter. So yeah. Okay. So yes. Why do you think he's saying that Lois is important?
So obviously she plays a fundamental role in and obviously seeing the end of the movie, you get the sense that something happened between the two main characters with her. She was the third. She was she was the character that spun everything into motion, like this alternative universe. Because of her, she's the catalyst. All right. Yes. And yeah. So, elaborate on why she's a catalyst. In a way, what did you think of her being played by, I don't actually know her name. I watched a movie with her the other day. What did you, I think her name's also Amy.
Amy somebody. Yeah.
Did you think she made a good Lois Lane?
You see, because I know it's a Zack Snyder movie, I know he likes to keep the the movie darker, and because of that, he's kept the character more straightforward than this bubbly, go-getter, reporter sort of situation that we got with, like, the Christopher Reeve movies. So I understand why he's done that, but I think I would have liked to have seen her a bit more. What's the right word for it? Maybe a little bit more hardy, because she seems very soppy. She seems extremely sad about everything. She forever seems like she's upset. She's completely emotional. She's literally a walking emotional wreck. And for a journalist, I don't think that sort of character sort of works. So I think that could have been fixed up a little bit as well.
Yeah, I must say, in the initial Superman, I was shocked that in this Joss Whedon one, I was shocked that they chose Amy Adams. I just think sometimes their casting is, like, even with Gal Gadot in the beginning, I was like, okay, she's pulled it off. Make no mistake, she has definitely pulled it off. But someone that I would have chosen for this character would have been someone like Megan Fox. Like, to me, Megan Fox makes, like, off the bat, the first thing I think about is Megan Fox, Wonder Woman. She's got the blue eyes, she's got the body, she's full of shit in behind the behind scenes and stuff. We've heard that there's issues when she did Transformers and this and that. But Gal Gadot passed, she did it. But
she got to admit, the first Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot really did pull that character off quite well.
And she was pregnant while she did it, just FYI.
Yes. I didn't actually know that, so that's interesting.
Yeah, she was actually pregnant.
So, talking of pregnancy, did you notice the little hint that was given with Lois?
Yes, of course. There was a pregnancy test. Yes,
where she opens up the drawer and she stares into the pregnancy into the drawer, and she sees the pregnancy test there. Yeah. So very interesting, very interesting. I think you see, that's a typical Zack Snyder sort of thing. He sort of hints of where he's taking the storyline. He gives you little clues, and he's got these visual cues that he's going to give you that you can expect to be followed up on his follow-up movies, which I think is fantastic.
Yes, but with that, so in all honesty, how much time has lapsed? I mean, if Superman's not a mortal man and he's not going to decay, like, there's that whole aspect. Okay, is he never going to decay like a mortal? So they obviously dig him up and set him back to life. But how much time? I mean, the fact that Martha's kind of lost her home, you think, okay, well, there must be 2-3 months. Surely by now she would have been showing, right? Like, I think maybe that wasn't taken into account too well. Maybe.
I still think it's very fresh because, in terms of the timeline, it's taking it from where Doomsday kills Superman. If you remember, the opening scene is essentially where you see Superman essentially dying from Doomsday. So it's in my mind, the way the timeline is running is it's completely sequential. So they go they have the funeral, and straight afterwards you carrying on with the story essentially, with the Justice League themselves. So that's basically where I think it was going. But I must say, talking of Superman decaying, you gave me an interesting thought there. I was just sitting thinking to myself, could you imagine a mummified version of Superman running around? Like the mummy Superman.
I swear that was drawn in some offcut of some comic. Like, Wonder Boy, Boy Wonder.
Serious crossover from Superman to the mummy Superman.
Yeah, that would be the spin-off.
Yeah, you thought you were fucked with a mummy. Imagine when it's Superman as well.
Yes. Oh, my soul. Oh, that would be a fun one. Okay, so back to the show. All right. So, okay, so Lois is pregnant. Now, okay, so it plays out. Thank God they didn't have that pathetic family in the end. And they also showed Barry Allen how he he regenerates an alternative. I actually need to watch it again. But he regenerates time. Like he redoes time. He goes back in time, right?
He's capable of controlling time using Speed Force. Yes.
Yes, which
is amazing.
Also, yes, which is also something that the theatrical version, Joss Whedon's version, didn't even touch on. You know, like you sort of think, well, okay, so he's fast. But I mean, the absolute Flash was like, he in his own right, he was an amazing hero, and Joss Whedon doesn't touch on that at all, as well.
Yeah. Joss Whedon's main focus, in my opinion, was not Justice League but Superman. He was trying to create a Superman movie, and we ended up with, instead of it being Justice League, just another Superman movie, and it was also turned into like a big comedic sort of thing, and it was never meant to be like that. It was meant to be about the Justice League, all the characters, each character having a role to play, and the importance of each character, and how each character supports Superman. And that development never took place with the Joss Whedon version.
Yeah. So okay,
but speaking of that pregnancy, the one thing I thought of is there's no indication that she actually is pregnant, though. She happens to be opening the drawer, and there happens to be a pregnancy test there. So, but they don't show that she's actually taken the test, or that there's any indication that she is pregnant. They don't give you that indication, but I think they're hinting at she's either thinking about family, or the possibility that she may have wanted family with Superman, or maybe she is actually pregnant, or at the early stages of pregnancy.
But isn't it, according to the comics, she is pregnant, like the original? Yes. So
yeah,
I mean, you've sort of, like, the thing is, we can make the movies, and I mean with CG and stuff, but you've got to stick to the original story, no? Surely, because if you don't, come on.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
And the whole thing with Lois, or the importance of Lois, is that she's an integral part of the character arc for Superman, because from a canonical point of view, you remember the Justice League's become the Injustice version, and the Injustice version is where there's a big separation between the Justice League, and Superman essentially turns dark. He ends up being a bad guy. Okay, so this is like serious spoiler stuff, but somewhere along the line, Joker essentially sets off a nuclear bomb and kills Lois Lane, and that essentially turns Superman completely bad and against humanity. So, and that's going to be the development of his arc. So, yeah, so she does play an important part, but whether we're going to see those in up and coming movies with Zack Snyder, I don't know if that's going to happen.
Look, I would like to see more of the Justice. I'd like to find one movie where they either take on, and what I loved about this one, well, that the Justice League itself, with some comedy, some whatever, that they actually take on a character from the multiverse, okay, with something. I'd like to see one movie like that before we go into the dark side of He-Man. That's personally what I'd like to see. I mean, because you see at the end of the movie, you see how Bruce Wayne and Alfred and Wonder Woman go into a premises, and they say a huge round table, space for 6. And then Wonder Woman says yes, but obviously space for more.
More, yeah. Which I think is where I'd love to see the whole. I agree with you. I'd love to see the Justice League continue, but I think they also need to develop more on the characters. So, and one of the ones that I am looking forward to, and I know is in the works, is they're going to develop the Flash version, and this version of the Flash. Not the TV series Flash. That's just a load of crap. But yeah, that's the literally the Flash TV series. please don't waste your time on crap like that. That is absolute rubbish.
I know.
Anyway,
I couldn't even get into the Supergirl. I couldn't get into it. I haven't even watched what's it? Luther? No, what's it? Like the Dark Angel. What's it? Oh, for heaven's sake! I keep seeing this thing on Netflix. What's it? Luther? No, Luther?
no, I don't know.
No? I don't know. Anyway, help me out here, guys. Yeah, it's like the evil angel, Lucifer. That's it.
Lucifer. Yeah, but that's not DC, is it?
Lucifer. Yes, duh. Sorry, so removed from my mind. Been one of those days.
I'm quite curious. How did we go from Flash to Lucifer?
Yeah, like just to say, like, don't watch. I don't know. Apparently, Lucifer's very good. I haven't watched it. I don't like. I mean, I got into what was it? The Arrow.
Yeah.
So DC. I watched like the first few seasons, and then I was like, oh my gosh, this is just like a soap opera.
I'll be honest with you. The exact same thing with me. I did watch some of the Arrow, and I enjoyed some of it. But as the seasons progressed, you could literally see they were running out of storyline, sort of thing, and they were just bulking it because it's another Arrow movie, DC sort of series. Then the Flash came on, and the Flash, I think maybe the 2 seasons was pretty okay. I would definitely say, okay, give the first 2 seasons a go, but then it went completely woke, and the moment they went woke, I was like, done, I'm finished, this is rubbish. It's I want to watch a series to be entertained, not to be taught a political agenda. If I wanted a political agenda, I'll join the ANC, so
no, that's not political, that's just thieving. Let's get that straight.
Yeah, that's just thieving, but they do have an agenda, so anyway.
Okay, so back to fine, so are we gonna
So my point was, all I was saying is that they do have the series, but the Flash, I would love to see a decent, like, darker version of the Flash. Even though he does provide the comedy relief in the Zack Snyder version, he is a character that I think that can be well developed as well.
Okay, maybe you should do a storyboard and send it off to Warner Brothers.
Well, I won't have to, because I know it's already in the works. So yeah, that's definitely coming.
Yeah, let's hope it's not too woke. Own Hollywood, so gender will be pushed.
Let's talk. What would you hope to see with the next sort of DC universe? Okay, obviously we've been speaking about the Flash, but what would you like to see?
Like a character that has never really been explored is like Ra's al Ghul. Like it was in Christopher Nolan's one, and his daughter. I can't think of her name now, but that sort of love affair between Batman and her at some point, maybe, or just like the female characters. I mean, I know with Birds of Prey, I enjoyed that, but I think it was also too light. I think that's the fact that you have Catwoman with Michelle Pfeiffer, who really gets pushed to becoming this dark, cynical creature, because she's been through trauma and pain. That is how most villains come about, and that sort of, with that, I think there's so much power with feminine. Because you always talk about like femme fatale, that evil, that sexy, alluring, evil woman who's going to twist everything on its head, And if Laura watches this, hello, everyone, say hello to femme fatale. Go and subscribe. I'm sure she's awesome. Yes. So that aspect, I'd like to see more of, like the Black Canary, bring her character out. Like, I don't know. For me, I just find the characters that they got for Birds of Prey, besides Harley Quinn. I mean, Margot Robbie is also fantastic. She's just
she's a brilliant actress. There's no getting away from
stunning. Like, and the rest, okay, maybe. But I'd like to see those characters develop more as well. I don't see why they've just got to be swept under the rug. and they sort of meeting all these characters. And as he Count Tortenkorf also said, who would win between Marvel and DC, and we'll discuss that just now. But the truth is that to have something that colossal like that would be like, in a way, it would be the end of it would be the top of the mountain. You just wouldn't get better than that. And I think,
for me, the story arcs I'd like to see. Yes, I'd definitely like to see some Catwoman. Especially the dynamic between like Batman and Catwoman. I'd like to see storyline with that sort of thing. But what I'm really
the boardroom action.
Yes, yeah. There's nothing like watching a woman in tight leathers with a whip. I mean, that's quite interesting. It's always going to be interesting. Anyway, but the arc in terms of this is the Zack Snyder cut, the epilogue, the development of that story of where Harlequin is being held by Batman. And she dies in his arms apparently, and she asks Batman to ensure that Joker dies a slow and painful death. Like, I'd love to see where is that coming from, what's happened with that storyline, why has that happened. I'd love to see that part develop a lot more. And what did you think of the new Joker?
Yeah, well, let's not say new. Let's say Zack Snyder's interpretation of Joker, much better.
Yes.
The other one
from the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, and the one from Suicide Squad didn't feel real at all. I mean, I admire Jared Leto. I know he's going to be playing Morbius. Is it Morbius?
Yes, Morbius. Yes.
Yes, and I think that's better character for him. Joker, listen, no one can compare. And this is the sad thing, is that, like, even. I'll touch on a Marvel thing, just remind me earlier with the Hulk. But what's sad is that we lost Heath Ledger. I don't think, Joaquin Phoenix, obviously he did an amazing interpretation of the Joker story, but he's not going to play in the DC movies, and that's sad to me. And also, the way Joss Whedon, that character it didn't feel like the Joker. I didn't feel like him. It didn't. And also not forgetting Jack Nicholson. I mean, Jack Nicholson in his day as the Joker was also brilliant.
Jared Leto's Joker in the Suicide Squad, in my opinion, he's like this young, boyish, immature sort of Joker. Who's completely batshit flippin' crazy. I think that was what they were trying to portray there. But what I liked with the Zack Snyder version of the Jared Leto Joker is he's dumbed that down. He's made Joker a little bit older. You could see Joker is a little bit wiser. He's a little bit cleverer. He's sneakier,
Yes,
which is what I like, and I'd love to see that character develop. Some more.
Agree. Agree.
I'd love to see him in some form of the next DC universe storyline. I think that any spin-off with that would be great, but that version they mustn't go back to the Suicide stuff, because that's just going to ruin it.
It's too weird. Weird.
So I do think Jared Leto can pull off a good Joker, but he would need good direction. I really think he would need good direction for that. I have heard, but I don't know how true it is, but in the rumor mills of the fandom, if you want to call it that Johnny Depp was approached to play a Joker. So I don't know how true that is, and I think if Johnny Depp ever played a Joker, I think that would be a very interesting Joker to watch.
Yeah, Johnny Depp he's a legend. And I mean, what was incredible to me was him in Alice in Wonderland, playing the Mad Hatter. I mean, you sort of like double take, like, what is that Johnny Depp? Like, you like go back without knowing that, and like, huh? That was incredible. He's very, very special, that man.
He's truly an
art.
acting legend. Yeah, he's a master of his art
Of his
and his
yeah.
craft. Yeah, he's definitely a master of his craft. And I'd love to see him try and pull something off like a Joker. But I've never really, and this is the thing, I've never experienced a Johnny Depp movie where he's, like a Joker, evil to that extent. I've seen him in, what was it, Sweeney Todd, wasn't it? Where he's like a mad serial killer or something like that.
Yes.
But I think there was a lot of artistic license in there. So it didn't quite appeal to me. But as a Joker, I think it would be quite interesting to see.
Okay. Well, yeah, some agree. And no, I think we've touched on a lot.
Okay, yeah, so the answer to Marvel versus DC, who do you think would win?
Sure. But I'm a DC girl, so I'm sorry. It's in my blood. I can't not be DC. But in a way, I love them both. I love the fantasy of it. Look, I think Marvel, the whole, it did get a bit woke, Marvel. But if I look at Aquaman, it was the same. Like, it was like too much. And then I'm watching this Zack Snyder thing and I'm going, okay, there are 5 of them and they're all like, oh God, we need more people. I'm going, you guys have empires of like leagues of like soldiers. Why aren't you calling them? You know what I mean?
Darkseid's coming and he's going to fuck shit up.
Darkseid's coming and there are only like 5 of you, 6 of you, really? It's sort of... But I suppose for the moment, it sucks you in and it takes you to another place. And if it makes you forget your troubles and your panic attacks and your worries and your anxieties for the day or for the week or the month, then so be it. And that's what I love about these movies.
So my last thought about the Zack Snyder cut is talking of, because seeing as how we're talking about Darkseid, I think the one thing I didn't appreciate is that first battle where you see Darkseid first come to Earth. He comes to Earth. He essentially loses the battle like quite rapidly, versus obviously Zeus and all those guys and the old gods, which makes you sort of feel like he was a little bit underwhelming in that scene. Then also the other part that didn't make a lot of sense to me was he gets dragged away from Earth, and for some reason they lose Earth. They
forget where they were.
They forget where they lost. The only battle he's ever had in his entire existence that he's actually lost is the one place he forgets where it is, sort of thing. So it's like...
like they lose the coordinates, kind of? Like,
it's like, how did
Waze didn't
that?
capture that destination.
So I thought that was like a bit of a hole in the storyline. And considering that you've got to have Darkseid, who's going to be the ultimate test for Superman. It just didn't make a lot of sense the way they portrayed it in the Zack Snyder cut, because they make him underwhelming and he's like dumb as shit because he can't even remember where he left the
the navigation thing fucked out. Okay, that's all we need to know. They got sucked back into their wormhole and Waze stopped working. Okay, that's what happened.
So that was the only thing I found underwhelming. But outside of that, I mean, if you take all of the rest of the Zack Snyder thing, for me, and I think I've said this to you before, the Zack Snyder cut, if you're a big fanboy, 8 out of 10.
Hey, don't be sexist now, okay? Don't be sexist. All right.
Okay, if you're a fan, what do they call it?
I don't know. A fan person.
If you're a fan, them.
Yeah.
If you're a fan, them, then you get a 8 out of 10 for this one, in my opinion. I take off the 2 points for the little quirky things that I didn't like about it.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. But about that first battle, the thing that I think, who wrote the original Justice League? I don't even know. Let me quickly Google it. Um, I don't even know who was the original playwright or the what do they call it, screenwriter, or no, the comic, right?
Mm.
Um,
For
God,
DC.
yeah, that because there were lots of authors. Just hold on, Justice League. Sorry, people. Written by. I didn't think of looking this up. Nah, we're doing a written by. Okay, hang on. No.
Are you
History.
thinking of like Jerry Siegel?
Yes. Yes.
I think that's who you're thinking of. Jerry Siegel. He was
Okay, fine.
the what do they
Original.
call it? The original guys who came up with Superman or whatever. Jerry Siegel and a couple of other dudes. Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
So, and I think their message was that, and I think this is where, I mean, these comics were originally written in the 1930s, early
Oh, yes.
1940s, and it was the war. It was the Second World War. And I think the fact that all the people, like the Amazons, the the Atlanteans, the human beings, even people, even characters. I mean, you see a Green Lantern character in the mix, and you sort of get the feeling that these were like a combination of the Allies taking on this evil, right? Which was back then Nazi Germany. And for me, I think that's the key, that people need to stop with their stupid differences. Whether I've realized this. I mean, I had a friend on the stream the other night, and she is a mixture. She looks in a certain color, but she's a complete mixture of something else, right? Like you think, oh, she's like this. No, she's not like that. She's actually a mixture of X and Y, which makes her unique. So you can't say, oh, well, she's a this. She's not a this. She's an X. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we need to stop bickering about bullshit and come together and realize there's more to it and make life good again. Sorry, I'm on this roll because I just can't.
You can't get over the political situation you find in yourself in South Africa.
Not only South Africa, and the entire world, the bickering, the bullshit, the out to get you, out to, it's so not what the actual Marvel DC. You come from different worlds. You have, and I think this is often we see in DC characters where they might not like each other. They might be, antagonistic towards each other. Like you said, Cyborg and Aquaman, that they don't get on. And there's a reason, and they've butted heads before. But you know what? To save the Earth, they put aside their differences and they fight the bad guy.
Yeah.
And
I think the lesson that's been taught with all the superhero comics and things like that is that you have the rising of the few heroes, the people that are willing to use the best of their abilities for the benefit of those around them. And I think that's essentially what the overall storyline is being taught through comics. And it's a very interesting lesson because the reality is that's exactly how movements are started. It starts with one or two people that are brave enough to go against the system and say, I'm not going to be treated like this. I am going to stand up and I'm going to fight for what is right. And they use their skills. Some use it for bad, obviously. Guys like Hitler had a fantastic skill of being able to work up his audience in a speech.
And you can say, well, I'm not going to mention his name. I've decided I'm not mentioning anyone from the EFF or BLF. I actually said it wrong last night because I believe as soon as you give them energy or you give them airtime, they grow. So I refuse to. But those kind of people, yes, they have the gift of the gab. But
they get their position because they have the gift of the gab. But I think still the point is that it takes only a few to get together. Things like Justice League in particular, it's showing you that by having just a few people who's willing to stand and fight the good fight, you can overcome almost insurmountable odds. And I think that's what they're trying to teach.
And with the epilogue, you see all the characters that would never go together. I mean, you've got Slade. Slade comes around. What's his Deathstroke?
Deathstroke, yes.
Yeah, Deathstroke. And he, of course, hates Batman. And oh yes, of course, you see Luther escape from. Sorry, this is totally like.
Yeah. I mean, where would you ever see Joker and Batman working together?
Yeah.
Which brings me ties me into Darkseid on how much of an evil character and how powerful of a character he has to portray, and that's why I think they sort of underplayed him in the Zack Snyder cut, because he actually takes the planet and he converts it to where what was up is down, and down what was down becomes up. Everything gets turned into complete turmoil. He even uses Superman to his benefit, and that's why you see Superman landing there and saying the Justice League saying, "Oh, he's found us," sort of thing.
What I find odd though is that in the epilogue, okay, so in the Justice League, when they resurrect in the Zack Snyder's thing, he's wearing the black uniform, right? He's wearing all black, like what's in the ship. Then when the epilogue is, he's wearing again the red cape and the blue suit. I don't know if that was a mistake or it was intentional, but maybe it's because, okay, so what do you think is going to happen? So, but we don't know if the epilogue was true or if it was just Batman's nightmare. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you see, this is the thing. We won't really know that. Unfortunately, though, because of knowing a little bit more of the comic books and reading more of the comic books, I know roughly where it goes. So, and I because of that, if you're just a normal average viewer of the Justice League, you're going to see that epilogue and you're going to think, well, it's just a dream. When in reality, it's more like a premonition, if you wish.
Okay, fair enough. Do you believe in premonitions as a person?
Oh, no, definitely not.
Count Totenkopf asked a question earlier. Who's the strongest? So we know in DC, obviously, the strongest hero would be Superman. Yeah. Right?
So this has always been a hotly debated topic for many years. I mean, I can guarantee you we're not the only people who've ever thought of this. I personally think, this is my thinking, Superman is essentially the ultimate, but his biggest flaw is essentially two things. He needs the sun, and he essentially needs to be away from kryptonite. So he has some serious major flaws. Whereas with the Marvel, you have two characters that are, in my mind, very powerful. And the one is Thor, and the other one will be obviously the Hulk. Now, the Hulk, in my opinion, is like another, in terms of strength, is pure strength. And obviously, the angrier he gets, the stronger he gets. So, in terms of your defense with somebody like with the Hulk, you could manage him if you could calm him. So that means he does have an aversion of a kryptonite. But I don't see Thor as having the same sort of flaws. He doesn't have like this kryptonite thing that's going to weaken him to the point that he's useless, sort of thing. And he still has all these faculties about him, and he has immense powers that he can call upon. So I personally think, this is my personal opinion, and people can tell me if I'm right or wrong, but based on that alone, I think he could wiggle. It would be an extremely difficult fight, but I think he would be able to outmaneuver Superman and the Hulk purely because he doesn't lack he lacks those flaws. You can't. What are you gonna do to Thor to sort of remove his capabilities. He's essentially granted all of his powers. He
Take
he
away
has
his
the hammer.
take away the hammer, because he
Yeah.
did lose his hammer, remember?
Yes, he's lost his hammer, but remember they remade it for him. So when they remade the axe thing, which is like a hammer axe sort of thing, so which means he can just recreate whatever he needs. So and remember, the only way the hammer was removed was through some magical ability. I don't see a magical ability that Superman has and the Hulk has. I mean, the Hulk is essentially just a Hulk. And Superman, what is he going to do? Use his X-ray eyes on a hammer? That means Thor's got to keep his hammer sitting still for quite some time in order for it to melt or something like that. I just think that Thor has more advantages than flaws.
No, okay, that makes sense. Stanley is the strongest character in the Marvel universe.
That would be my opinion. If they ever had to have a full-on, fight between the three of them, I think, the one who would be left standing, and it would be like by the skin of his teeth, in my opinion, would be Thor.
Okay, no, I agree on that. And talking about Hulk, I got so excited when they cast Edward Norton as the Hulk.
As the Hulk, yeah.
And then they
I actually think he did a very good Hulk, in my opinion.
He did. And they still had the guys from S.H.I.E.L.D. Didn't they have, I think there was an Easter egg at the end?
Yeah.
And then they all went to shit. Why did that all go to shit? Like, I get so annoyed. And now who's the twinkle light dude who's now going to play Batman? Like, where's Ben Affleck fucking off to? Like, it drives me. Why can't they keep the people? Why? Is it the costumes? Is it too intensive? Is the shooting too crazy? Yeah. It's so upsetting for fans like moi. I get so annoyed. I get so annoyed because I fall in love with the character. I let myself get sucked into the role and feel it and the whole thing. Like, I've walked out of like yes, man, like woohoo, I can take on the world. You get that whole like vibe going, and then it all goes to shit. Because then the twinkle type boy, okay, yes, he might be nice in like romantic movies and blah blah blah, but I mean, come on, really? And nog a Batman, really? And I was just getting used to, like, in the beginning I was also like Ben Affleck, I don't know, okay, maybe, and Justice League brought it all together for me. And now they're changing it.
Especially with the Batman, because they have this change in the roles, but I think that's sort of what makes that character so legendary, is because various people have played it and various people have pulled it off rather well, and it's sort of it's starting to get like this whole 007 feel. It runs from generation to generation to generation, and each generation gets their version of that character. So being Bond and the other one being Batman. And I'm just grateful that we're in an age where we have the Batmans that we have received, because I think the Batmans we have seen in our generation are brilliant. They've been brilliant. I can really not think of any Batmans that I was truly disappointed with.
Not Val Kilmer?
No, I enjoyed Val Kilmer. I enjoyed his Batman. The one I did not like was the George Clooney Batman. I don't think he fitted that role well. It wasn't quite suited.
It was so bad, I forgot about him.
George Clooney Batman was not something that jumped out at me. But the Val Kilmer one definitely jumped out. The Michael Keaton one was a good one. And I'm a little bit biased with that because that was my first experience of Batman, was watching the Michael Keaton.
Of course.
The Michael Keaton one. Yeah. And then you had Val Kilmer, and then you had who was after Val Kilmer? I'm just trying to think now.
It was George Clooney, wasn't it?
It was George Clooney or somebody, and then after that we had Christian Bale.
Christian Bale.
Yes, we had Christian Bale, which
I liked him.
I think he portrayed it quite well, but I think he had good direction because of the reason that the Batman moved away at that point from when they moved to the Christian Bale version. They moved away from what's that director's name? I'm just trying to think who did the original Batman. No, not Christian Bale. The original Batmans were done by that artsy fartsy dude, man. I'm trying to think of his name.
Not James Cameron. No, it's not that one. We've said that.
He also did Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and all that stuff.
Oh God, he's done like tons. Okay, hold on. I'm going to Google it.
Google it quickly, yes. But yeah, I think because we had the swap over from that director to a director who decided to take it a little bit more darker, I think that's made the Christian Bale version really good. But I don't think he was like brilliant. And then Ben Affleck came into the role, and I think Ben Affleck, considering that he was already in the darker version of the Batman, I think Ben Affleck made a really, really good version of Batman because it was an elder. He felt more mature. He felt like he was an elderly, well, I shouldn't say elderly like a walking stick elderly, but he felt a lot more mature as a Batman, a believable Batman. Who's experienced really tough things in his life,
So Tim Burton, and the fact that you think that Johnny Depp could have been cast for the Joker. Tim Burton, nearly every single movie that Tim Burton has produced or directed, he's chosen lots of characters from like Johnny Depp. Yeah.
I promise you, if they ever go back to Tim Burton, if any of the DC stuff goes back to Tim Burton, I personally would commit suicide. It's flipping. He does shit. I hate his stuff. I really can't stand it.
Jack Nicholson. Remember Kim Basinger?
Kim Basinger was. Yes, she was a reporter or something, if I remember correctly.
Yes, she was this reporter
I can't handle Tim Burton's direction because he to me he feels like he belongs in theaters, where you go and watch a play sort of thing. I'm not into that.
Sweeney Todd. He did Sweeney Todd. He did Alice in Wonderland. He did Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. He's done. He did a Sleepy Hollow. We could do a whole stream just on Tim Burton. But Clinton Thomas.
It doesn't mean I dislike Tim Burton completely because I'm sure there's one or two movies that I've watched of his that I maybe might have enjoyed a little bit. But as an overall director, I don't like his direction.
For Batman specifically, for DC film,
even for any movies, because he feels very musical. He, like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, he feels, like I said, his direction. His direction to me feels like he's doing a play. The same sort of style, the same sort of methodology. You get that sort of thing coming through. I don't feel like he's an entertainment director, Anyway,
I'd like to have his money though. But I see Clinton Thomas mentioned something about Captain Marvel, and she's supposed to be the ultimate in the Marvel universe.
Yes, Brie Larson came in, and Brie Larson, she's so powerful with those toothpick arms of hers. She can literally crack a whip on you, sort of thing. So no,
okay, no, great guys. I think look, I just, like I say, I love diving into it. I love it that it takes me away from reality. Not that my reality is so bad, but I just ever since I was a kid,
Duck Becker, you saved my life there. That's the word I was looking for. He feels like Tim Burton feels like he's good at doing pantomimes. That's the right word I was looking for. So anyway, that I just saw that in the chat now, and I thought that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yes, that's it. Well done.
Duck Becker, he understands my brain, and I smoke that. Like, we should get him on the show sometime.
No, sure. And you said I should discuss with him as well.
Duck Becker, you really need to come on someday. We got to get you on.
Definitely. No, brilliant. I think we're about done.
So your
Anything else?
overall ratings, what do you rate it? I've given you my rating. What did you rate it?
Yes, yeah, no, I agree. 8 out of 10. I enjoyed the whole thing. Like I think like 10 out of 10. Like I just loved that it was long, and it had it was a bit off that singing, but you know what? He's supposed to be an ocean god, like Aquaman. Like in what do ocean people do? They sing. So what the hell? but but the one cast thing that I cannot wrap my head around is Amy Adams. I don't understand why they chose her to be Lois.
Yeah,
I don't like her as I don't.
She's too sappy. She's definitely too sappy in the
Pasty.
role.
She's too pasty.
You
know.
It's she doesn't. But now the question is it because of her direction or is it because of her just acting?
No, I think thank God for her direction. She's believable. But I see Lois as a confident fighter. You know, she would always go out on a limb, not be afraid of any story, not be afraid of any obstacle. In all the Amy Adams portrayals, she seems sort of timid and you know. Okay, who would you replace Lois Lane? If you could think of someone in the comments, please add to your thoughts for a new Lois. She's not even that hot. Like, okay, TG likes her a lot, but look, I love a redhead. Make no mistake, I do. I have a sore point for redheads. Woo, baby, it gets me hotter, flatter. Yes, it's the Scots in me. But I don't know.
You know, people don't like her either. But I think if she was a bit younger, she could pull that Lois role off quite nice. But she's a bit old now. Is Nicole Kidman? I think could have pulled that role off quite nicely.
Yeah, and
but the problem is she's too old for it now. Yeah.
Yeah, but Nicole Kidman played. Was it Nicole who played Aquaman's mother? I mean, that was epic.
Was it Nicole Kidman's mom? Aquaman's mom.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, they cast her. So I would actually think a good Lois, younger version, would be. Hold on one second. Excuse me. Would be someone like Sandra Bullock, maybe. If you're thinking about that, yeah.
You know who I've actually come up with the perfect person who would play that reporter perfectly. Lois Lane, okay, will be Rebellious Ruth.
Oh, you suck. Get you everywhere. Yeah, no, we can. We could have a 4-hour stream just about this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope everyone's enjoyed it. I've learned a lot, and I'm glad I delved deeper into it.
So the RR rating, the Rebellious Ruth rating of Snyder Cut is 10 out of 10, right?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
You're gonna have to get TG to put up some like little flashing 10 out of 10s.
Oh, we will. We're gonna do a bit of an edit and add pictures and do stuff and yeah. What now? What are you saying, TG?
It's a 9 for me.
Oh, TG says it's a 9 for him. Everybody else, your rating? 9.
Okay, so in the chat for the audience, because I see there's only 8 people, quickly throw in there what you thought of it if you had seen it. Give it a quick rating out of 10. We'll wait for that and then we'll take it.
We'll wait for that. But yeah, all right. Thank you so much for deciding. I'd like to do this. We could even do a new Wonder Woman one. Have you seen it? Did you see it?
The Wonder Woman 1984. Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, I have seen it.
Did you enjoy it? What was your rating on that?
For Wonder Woman?
1984.
I think I have discussed this with you, but I really didn't enjoy it because they went PC with it. Yeah, a little bit of wokeness in it, and the fluency of the storyline just didn't gel for me. 1 minute she's in where did you say Israel? Well, she was in Israel or Egypt.
Egypt.
Yeah, she's in Egypt, and then 2 seconds later she's in New York, sort of thing. And then they jump into planes that are on in a at a museum. Now, every aircraft military museum is going to keep their aircraft fueled up and ready to fly.
And I didn't find the main character. What is it? The kid was wrong. It felt like they only cast people to get the people in cinemas or something. Like there was just no.
So
I mean, I loved the.
If I were to give Wonder Woman the 1984 rating, I would definitely only give it a 5 out of 10 rating because, and why I say 5 out of 10 is because you will get some form of entertainment. If you're not a comic book fan, but you just enjoy a superhero movie, you'll sit and you'll enjoy it and you'll be entertained. But if you're a bit of a fanboy or fan them, before I get corrected, if you are a bit of a fanboy and you like to stay a little bit to the canonical, and especially if you've seen the first Wonder Woman, you cannot compare the two and think that the second one is better. It's just not possible.
I think Warner Brothers told the director what to do. I do not see how one director can make something like Wonder Woman, the first one, and then do something like, I think everything a lot. So I'd love to see an uncut version of that.
Yeah, I think something went really wrong with the 1984 one.
No, because it was
and I agree with you.
postponed.
It feels like there was footage that was cut out of it.
Definitely.
So I'd love to know what it was specifically. Anyway, that's my view on that. But I think we should save that maybe for another night.
Yes,
where we will sit and do a full Wonder Woman one.
All right, everybody. Tomorrow night, La Luna is joining us.
La Luna.
So yes, I think at 8:00 she'll do a stream. I think there's something happening at 9. But yeah, so 8 tomorrow night. Check La Luna. If not, see you next week. Cool.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, all the audience members and the viewers who sat and watched us talk cuck about the DC universe. Then that's cool.
Love it. Okay. Bye, everybody. Stay on. Cheers.
Yes. Bye.
Oops.